And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Flying weather for Thursday morning. We've got, again, a lot of IFR out here over the Bering Sea, becoming VFR as you head in toward the coastline, and from the North Slope all the way down to South Central Alaska, good VFR. However, some IFR here around Yakutat, in across Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, then down the east side of the Panhandle, and IFR for Kodiak Island. For the afternoon, that improves here, shifting off to the east, so becoming marginal VFR along the east side of Kodiak in the afternoon. Shelikof Strait into Bristol Bay, good VFR. The interior stays pretty nice and improving here over the southeast coast, mostly VFR to the north. No change out over the Bering Sea there with a lot of IFR in across Unalaska Island and marginal VFR up to Nunivak Island with IFR here right through the Bering Strait and then just off the Arctic coast. That holds about in the stationary status quo out in these areas with IFR continuing about the same there with VFR holding over interior Alaska. Some marginal VFR up into the Copper River Basin along the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range and maybe the Kenai Peninsula here up into the Talkeetnas. But the VFR staying down to the south and to the south of Kodiak Island. But VFR reappears there over the northern and eastern Panhandle. And that holds through the afternoon here with marginal VFR over other areas of the southeast coast, extending up into Prince William Sound. VFR in the interior, and the IFR holds out over the Bering Sea but retreats just to the north of the Aleutians, leaving marginal conditions behind. And for let's see, these are old, so I will bounce through them quickly. And for Anatuvik, VFR for tomorrow. Adigan, VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR. Rainy, also looking good. All the passes should be open tomorrow through the Alaska Range, Brooks Range areas, and for the Mentasta Pass as well, VFR. But Portage starting out possibly marginal, or Tanita VFR, getting ahead of myself here. Portage could start out marginal, but becoming VFR, or it could be VFR the entire day. And Chilkoot and White starting out marginal, becoming VFR. And for the freezing levels here, warmest air to the north of the state, 8,000 feet or better, and then kind of 6,000 or 4,000 feet here over the eastern North Gulf Coast, up in toward the Wrangell Mountains, a little bit cooler air aloft there. And then back up to 8,000 feet or 8 to 10,000 feet here over the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And from there, looking at icing free out here to the west, right into the interior, most of the interior. Could be some isolated, moderate, mixed icing with developing thunderstorms over the Brooks Range tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, down here to the south, a little bit better chance. Could be in the shaded area here, isolated, moderate icing with the heavier stuff, mostly staying in the Gulf of Alaska, although trying to slip up in toward Montague Island. And of course, the isolated moderate extends in across much of the Panhandle. And for the jet stream, we've got an upper level low here cutting westward here with some 60 knot winds around that up here at 33,000 feet. But you can see down to the south here, the main Pacific jet well to the south at about 80 knots there to the south of the entire forecast area. And at 9,000 feet, light winds out here over the Bering Sea, maybe 20 knots, and that's about it out of the northeast here over the southeast Bering near the Pribilof Islands. And pretty light over the interior as well, nothing more than 20 or 30 knots. The 30 knot winds out of the southeast here coming up in toward the Kenai Peninsula, east 30 knots across the southwest coast. And for 3,000 feet, a little bit better defined area of winds now in the Gulf of Alaska with the system here southeast of Kodiak Island, southeast 35 to 40 knots there, strongest here across the Barren Islands in toward Kamishak Bay area. And with that, we'll throw some occasional moderate turbulence in here for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound. Turning an arm, you just barely see it there. Expect some gap winds here, getting pretty gusty there in the arm, making it a little bumpy in that area. And maybe for the Denali Park here with that system pulling westward.